Hi folks, it's Dr. Tirrell. As I mentioned in my previous email, I just wanted to update you about how the rest of the course is going to proceed. So the takeaway is that following university guidance, we're going to be shifting to synchronous online meetings. So we're still going to be meeting at the same time, right? So that's Monday at 6:30. But instead of meeting in person in a classroom, we're going to be doing it online through the university's Zoom video conferencing platform. I don't know about your own personal experience with this kind of structure. I've taught a few classes like this before using Zoom, and it works pretty well. I mean, the big differences are, one, they were set up for it, right? This one was not. This one was set up to be a face-to-face class. I've never done it for a 3-hour graduate course either, so that'll be a wrinkle. But these are obviously unusual circumstances, at least for most people, they are unusual. For us, we've been through stuff like this before, right? I mean, we had the hurricane shutdowns past a few semesters. So it's nothing we haven't dealt with before. At least this time we have power, right? And our homes aren't in jeopardy. But anyway, so these are different circumstances. And also, I mean, you may have been anticipating a face-to-face experience and now you have an online one, which comes with things like technology needs, right? So one of the big things is we're gonna encounter problems, right? It's just gonna happen trying to use this stuff, trying to make this switch halfway through. But we'll solve them as we go, right? So always feel free to contact me about issues you're encountering. And as we inevitably encounter problems, we'll just solve them together and move forward, right? But part of this is, nationwide now. Universities are just moving to this kind of online education for the immediate future. We have to anticipate the rest of the semester at least. So we're just going to have to, comply with that, right? Anyway, so what I wanted to do was briefly just share my screen with you here and walk through a few of the things that are going to be changing. The good news is things aren't going to change radically, but there are some things we need to be aware of. So if you look at the calendar here, you'll notice it looks pretty similar to the way it was before. The one thing that may stick out is you'll notice that every class period now, you can see the difference, is headed by this link that says online course link. What that does is it's going to take you to our Zoom space for this class. The good news is, even though this shows up on every meeting here, they all point to the same place. So you don't have to worry about what's this week's link and what happens if I click the wrong one. You can't. They all point to the same place. So there's no worries there. This is just there for convenience, right? So on the 23rd at 6:30, instead of joining everyone in Morton Hall, you'll just click this link and it'll take you to the Zoom chat space. Now, I do really encourage you to do this early. In fact, you probably can just do it any time between now and then, because it's going to prompt you to download the Zoom software. And it has an installer you can use to install its software for Mac, for Windows. It also has them for smartphones and tablets. And in fact, I've used the tablet version before at conferences, like just on hotel Wi-Fi, and it actually works really well. I was surprised. You would think video conferencing would be a big sort of, resource intense thing, but it handled it fine. So those are there as options. Ideally, what you'll have is some sort of machine, smartphone, tablet, computer, that has video and audio capability. So a camera, a microphone, and a speaker. Good news is, the smartphone that everyone has already has those things built in, right? Your tablet almost certainly has it built in if you have one. Computers, if you have a Mac, it's built in. Windows, it's a little hit or miss if it's built in automatically. But you can get cameras. I mean, for $10, I can probably loan you some. I think I've got some in the office if that's a hurdle. We're not supposed to meet, so I'll have to set up some kind of equipment drop. I'll leave it in my mailbox and you can come pick it up. Although I don't think students can get into the buildings. We'll figure it out. These are the kind of problems we're going to encounter, but we'll figure it out. The good news also is, or the silver lining, I suppose I should say, since the entire university is transitioning to this, we're all in the same boat all together. So they know these tech challenges are going to be immediately salient. So if you're just having, you just can't get a camera, or you don't have a computer that can do this, the university is right now working on how to solve those problems for you. So we can figure it out. You can always contact me about questions. For some of these, I'm just going to have to punch you to the university because they have standardized answers, or they're working them up for these kinds of things. But I should always be in the loop so I know what you're going through. It's just a facet of it that even though you didn't sign up for an online course, it's an online course now. It's just the way it is. No one anticipated this kind of thing happening. And as I say, I mean, we're set up to handle it better than most. We've just been through it. So that's kind of the requirements. Now, if you can't get a camera, or you just don't want to be on camera, you can probably get away just using audio, a mic and speakers. That's probably fine as well, I would bet. I mean, even when you have camera capability, some people choose to mute the video just because they don't want to, want to be on camera. I understand that. My daughter's probably going to be running through here periodically, so that may be something I'll do. All the schools are shut down, so suddenly we have to do full-time childcare and full-time work from home. It's going to be like The Shining in here, hopefully with a better ending. So the good thing about Zoom is it gives you the capability to do a lot of the things that we were doing in class anyway. So even stuff like small group work, you can split up our video conference into basically subunits. It calls them breakout rooms. And you'll only be able to talk with the people in your breakout room, and then we'll come back together. And it allows us to share screens like I'm doing right now. It allows us to share files. So like when we're doing our supplements, and as I'll talk about here in a minute, I didn't really change the dates of the supplements except for two folks who were gracious enough to move. Media questions, how am I going to do my supplement, right? How are Samantha and Britton going to do their supplement on March 23rd here? You'll be able to share your screen. And if that doesn't work, you can share files. That doesn't work, I'll have access to it. But basically, you're just going to pull up your screen, walk us through it, and talk us through it. I mean, it'll be pretty much like we're there. It's just, over the video conferencing platform. So we can share screens and files. We can get into breakout rooms. It really has a lot of capability, provided everything goes okay. Zoom's already under really heavy load because the entire nation is like, all right, well, and they weren't prepared for this kind of bandwidth swell. In fact, I recorded this video a couple days ago, but it didn't make it because they were getting slammed. Knock on wood, that'll be fixed. But if we have problems, we'll have problems and we'll fix them. I've always got a plan B and C in case things break down. You'll notice this is being streamed through YouTube because I learned my lesson. Google will be able to handle it. I mean, they're Google. So that's the gist of it. Things are going to proceed pretty much as normal. We're going to be meeting normal time. We're going to be doing our normal stuff. It's just going to be happening through this. When next we meet, you'll be here too, instead of in person. A couple other things to point out. Oh yeah, also Zoom, and I'm going to also proxy this to YouTube. It records these, so we'll have a recording of them. That's going to be especially useful, if you miss something, or particularly right here at the beginning, if not everyone can get access, or if your access doesn't work one time or whatever, it's all going to be recorded. So you'll have, that to go by. It even, in fact, transcribes it, and you can search through the transcription. It'll jump to the video based on where you click in the transcription. It's great. The only problem is it automatically transcribes, so the words are often a little funny. For example, I always start this by saying, hello, it's Dr. Tirrell, and it always transcribes it as, hello, it's terrible. And I know what that means, but it's very useful, but it has its quirks. The only other thing to point out here is you'll notice there's a Zoom addition to our navigation bar here. Like these others, like the modules, you don't really need this. If you click it, it'll take you to our scheduled meetings. But again, they're all the same room. See, the ID there is the same because it's all the same thing. It's just set up as a recurring meeting. So this just kind of shows you what we've got coming up, but you don't really need this. As always, I encourage you just to look at the calendar and just click on it because it's going to the same place. I honestly I was a little ambivalent on even posting that up there because, my background is tech admin, and generally you don't want to give people choices if it's just going to confuse them. That's the difference between being an administrator and an enthusiast is, strip everything to the bare minimum and then just gradually add what people can handle. So I was of two minds about it, but it is there. So don't be confused. You don't need it. It's just an addition. Anywho, what else to point out? So it's still going to be 6:30 to 9:15. We'll have our regular bathroom break because that's 3 hours, right? You can grab a snack. You could be having a snack, just mute and have a snack. Who cares? If we can't hear you chewing, no one would know. That's perfectly fine. So the structure of the class will be pretty similar to how it's been. And in fact, as I mentioned, the calendar is really pretty darn close. Now we did lose a week. And what happened was I cut out the second part of the medieval rhetoricians, which was just Erasmus, right? It was Copia. The reason why I made that cut is because it was really the only one that had one person scheduled. So it means we just lost one, right? And Copia is a long work. It means abundance, Copia, like copious, right? And so it's telling that his work is very kind of long and sprawling, because it's about sort of not shooting for, parsimony or concision or whatever. It's shooting for abundance, right? If the goal here is to be florid, we've got the capability, use it. It's an interesting take on what language should be. If you're interested in that, it's still in our book. You can still read it. And heck, since we're not reading it in class, you could do it for your supplement if you are interested in it. That'd be great. That said, it was the easiest cut to make. So just be aware of that. Because also it's like, medieval. It's always weird with this class because it's millennia. It's thousands of years of history condensed into, what have we got really, like 13, 14 meetings when you cut out, the first one, and then we had a holiday, and then we didn't do one the exam. And once you get those cuts down, it's like, it's a few centuries per time. In the whole medieval period, if you're going to make a cut, that's probably where you can, because there's just not a lot. It's the Dark Ages for a reason. You got Augustine, we got Boethius, and I don't want to cut. You can't cut Christine de Pizan. It's she's our first woman rhetor. Here, you can't cut the entire Renaissance. So that's why it happened the way it happened. We're not going to fit everything that I'd like to fit in, no matter what. So just be aware of that change. Now the supplements, those stayed the same. I didn't, the one option would have been to just push everybody back a week, but I didn't know. Maybe somebody scheduled that because of particular reasons. So I kept everybody's the same, except those two folks who were scheduled for yesterday, who were scheduled for the 16th. And that was Sarah and Kelly. And they graciously agreed to bump to the end, the 20th of April there. And so they were the only ones who had to change. Everybody else, your time is still the same. That's really it. The calendar is pretty much the same. Save for that Erasmus cut, and a couple of folks got bumped to the end, but that's it. And then again, class is going to be pretty similar. It's going to be us chatting. It'd be weird. Talking into a camera is weird, but we'll get through it. We'll do the very best we can, and we'll make the most of it. Good news is, we've already done our exam and everything. Boy, how do you do an exam? Well, we don't have to worry about it, do we? So all we've really got on the horizon is our abstract and paper and presentation, which we'll look at next time. And they're all part of one big project, just it's a paper project and has a presentation component, and you write up an abstract to target a particular publication, right? So that's all we've really got on the horizon. So we're just going to, go along with class, work with that as we go into the home stretch and finish up with our, maybe start and then finish up with our paper. That's pretty much it. The only other thing to point out would be office hours are now also online. So if you go to the syllabus here, where it used to just have my office hours with the times and dates and everything, and my the ability to schedule an appointment. Now there's just a link that'll take you to a separate Zoom space. It's not our class meeting space. It's my office hours space. and that's 9 to 10:45 Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'll still keep those hours. I'll basically just be online during those hours. I probably won't have the camera turned on because that's weird. You're just having the camera pointed at me while I'm working for a couple hours. I'd forget it's there. And Charlie will be around. So you can just go there and it'll notify me, hey, there's somebody waiting, and I'll quickly come to meet you. Or if just schedule it with me by email, and we'll just meet up at the decided upon time. Just be aware of that. Office hours are online too. I think really that's it. We really, from like a administrative standpoint, is not really huge shifts. Most of the calendar is the same. Just we had to cut Erasmus. A couple of folks had to move, just Kelly and Sarah, their supplements, but everybody else is the same. And then when we do our classes is pretty similar. We're just going to be meeting through this instead of in person, but we're going to do the same activities. We'll still have the same conversations, I hope. We'll just, do it. We'll just move forward. We're going to have problems, as I mentioned. That first one's probably going to be interesting, although I'll have done it a few times. So anything that's going to explode will have exploded. So as long as bandwidth is okay, things should be all right. Knock on wood. But we're going to have problems. We'll just solve them together. We've really only got the one big project remaining. We'll just take it as it goes. So if between now and then you have any questions or any problems, please contact me and we'll figure out what needs to happen. But otherwise, I'll see you again on this Monday, virtually at 6:30, and we'll persist, right? We've done this kind of thing before. We'll do it again and we'll get through it. Okay, if you have any questions or problems, just let me know. Otherwise, I will see you folks in about a week, virtually. I look forward to it. Stay safe and I will see you. Bye.